Yo, what's good everyone? It's your boy Laser. Hope you have an amazing day. And today we're going to be talking about the SammyGreen drama. Now, SammyGreen is probably one of the most well-respected Bedwars YouTubers out there. He's got a massive channel, he's got a lot of outreach, and a lot of people who love him and his content. Recently, Sammy has been involved in some drama on Twitter, and we're going to get into that. Look, I'm sorry. I hate this as much as you guys do, but I really am close to getting to 1K subscribers, and only 9% of you guys are subscribed, so it would really help me out if you press that red button. Anyways, back to the video. So essentially, this burner account on Twitter recently made this super long Twitter thread about some of the things that Sammy said in a group chat. Now, you can argue about the morality of leaking private group chat DMs, but, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm just here to talk about what he said and my opinions on it. Essentially, the Twitter user released some screenshots of Sammy talking in a group chat. And now in this group chat, he's making a lot of jokes about stuff that I'm not really comfortable with talking about, so I'm not going to be reading any of his messages. I'll just be showing them on screen, but they cover like issues like Bowie, assault, and Baba Bowie, and just relationships with minors in general. So it's just not something I want to read. So I'm just going to be showing a few on screen. Now there are many messages sent in this group chat that are on this Twitter thread. So if you want to see the full thing, I'll put the link in the description so you can see the original Twitter thread. In response to this whole situation, big man SammyGreen made a post on his alt Twitter account. It was a super long tweet longer. It's on screen here, but I'm going to read through some of the highlighted points because, it's a very long post. But essentially, it was just an apology and him saying, he's sorry for the things he said and he's grown as a person since these screenshots. Now, I actually have to give some credit here. This is a really good apology from Sammy. He seems very genuine in his words. It seems like he's actually genuinely sorry for the things he said. And he says like, oh yeah, this is not okay, even though they were jokes and even though they're in a private space, joking about these things was not okay and that he shouldn't have said those things. Now, whether you forgive Sammy or don't is not up to me. That's a personal decision you have to make. And by looking at his apology, I recommend if you actually are invested in SammyGreen and the situation that you read his full tweet longer. But personally, these things didn't really affect me too much, but I know that there are some groups of people who, might be hurt by the things that Sammy said. So I don't want to devalue your opinion if you feel that the things that Sammy said, personally hurt you. But, personally for me, I think that, the Minecraft community really needs to start, forgiving people for their actions. And I think that, Sammy, I think at heart is a good person. It's just that, the community can at times be toxic and promote super offensive, edgy, and over-the-top comedy. And while I don't think the things that he said was necessarily okay by any means, I think that Sammy genuinely didn't really mean those things. And it was all for the sake of quote-unquote comedy or being funny, right? This was in a private GC. He wasn't sending any direct hate to anyone. It was just, a kid being a kid, I guess I'm somewhat biased as Sammy is one of my favorite creators on the platform. I think he genuinely has some of the best content on YouTube. And I think that even though these things were said in September of 2020, I think Sammy has the maturity to be like, hey, this is a mistake. I shouldn't have said these things, and move on and improve himself. I don't think, this is going to really hurt Sammy in the long run. I think people looking to hate on SammyGreen are just going to kind of use this as fuel to kind of push their agenda. But I think at the end of the day, Sammy really portrays himself as a nice guy in his videos, and I hope that's the real SammyGreen and not the ones we see in this group chat. I do think that the Bedwars community as a whole can learn from this incident, right? I think a lot of people on Twitter are immediately jumping on the Sammy hate train, and I think it's really important for the Bedwars community to learn of the idea of forgiveness and, people maturing as they get older, right? The people in the Bedwars community are it's just a lot of young kids and teens, right? So, there's bound to be people making mistakes, doing, reckless things that they'll regret when they get older, or even a month later, And I think that, the Bedwars community is not very forgiving of anyone, essentially. For example, during this whole entire Six Striker situation, as soon as Six Striker gave his side and gave his perspective, all this hate came onto speculative potato, and that just really shows, the Bedwars community loves following the cancel culture train. They just love hating on this big figure and not really looking at them as a person and seeing how they can improve. At the end of the day, you can think whatever you want to think about SammyGreen. If you're personally deeply offended or hurt by the things that he said, that is perfectly understandable. And, if you don't like him after this situation, that's perfectly fine. But for me personally, I'm going to stick with SammyGreen because I think he has the maturity to, move on and learn from his mistakes. I really hope that more Bedwars YouTubers in the future, if they get involved with drama, if something like this happens to them, they can, look back and improve themselves as a person. I know we saw recently with Strobed, he is taking steps in the right direction to kind of improve himself, which is actually nice to see for once in the Bedwars community. Anyways, that's going to be about it for me. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.